Hi, my name is Schyler Church. I am a California real estate broker as well as a member of the education department at Accredited Real Estate Schools. We offer the course requirements to be eligible to take the state exam in California to receive your real estate license, but also help you prepare for it with varying levels of preparation. So we have lots of tools to help you with it. And one of them is practice questions, and that's a great one to use to see how proficient you are with the material. Make sure to check out, though, our exam preparation and course options in the link below. Also, if you like these videos, make sure to like it, subscribe, comment below so we keep producing new content here on our YouTube channel. So let's get to it and start with question number 1. A buyer comes into a brokerage and inquires about a specific property that is not for sale but would like to purchase. The agent notes that the property owner of the specific property is a previous client, so he contacts the property owner. The property owner does not want to sell the property. 2 months later, the agent finds out that the property owner sold the property to the buyer that had inquired about the property to the agent. The agent is entitled to A, full commission, B, full commission plus damages, C, half the commission, D, nothing. Well, let's break down the question as always and figure out what they're really wanting out of it and kind of formulate what our thoughts are based on what the question is asking. So they're saying that a buyer is going into a brokerage and is asking an agent about a property that they would like to purchase, but it's not for sale. Well, that agent realized by looking up that property that the owner is actually a previous client. So the agent goes and asks that property owner if he'd be willing to sell it. The owner does not want to sell it at this time. Well, the agent then finds out 2 months later that the property owner actually did indeed sell the property to that buyer that had originally inquired to the agent about it. What is the agent entitled to? Well, the agent doesn't have an actual, wasn't really representing the buyer at this point. Yes, he had looked into it, and if there was a contract that had gone into, there's been a contract and there's been an actual agency relationship established, then possibly the agent could be entitled to a commission. But he wasn't a part of this deal at all. He just did maybe a little bit of footwork, but that didn't actually come to fruition for this property being sold. It wasn't because of him. He didn't help facilitate this deal, this transaction. So he is entitled to nothing. He's not entitled at all to any part of the commission. So he might want to think so, and he could try to sue for it, but there's nothing that's traced back to him for written agreement saying that there's an agency relationship established, and also that the seller would want to sell to somebody with an agent that would be receiving or wanting compensation. So the agent is entitled to nothing. 2. Which appraisal approaches take accruals for depreciation into account? A, market data and income. B, income and cost. C, market data and cost. D, income and market data. Let's look at the 3 approaches then for appraisal. We know market data, income, and cost. Market data uses the principle of substitution primarily. It's the most easily and readily usable approach that we can use as real estate agents, but also for appraisers because you just look at the characteristics of other properties and you compare, you make substitutions and adjustments accordingly. But does that take into consideration depreciation? No, it doesn't specifically take into depreciation. It looks at the characteristics of it. Now, the income approach. The income approach is, remember, it's used to basically converts what we think of an income stream into value. It also takes into consideration like the capitalization rate, a lot of different things. And so it's basically used for income producing properties to then create a value for it and what it's valued off of based on the riskiness of the investment, a bunch of different factors as well. But so when we're looking at that, they're also going to be looking at the income stream. And a lot of the times the income stream is going to be affected of what you can actually have take home. Well, with that, there is a type of depreciation that the IRS lets us take. It's a paperwork loss on our taxes because the IRS believes that properties do wear out and they lose value. So it's something that we can take monetarily on our taxes every year. So remember, there's a straight line depreciation that we're allowed in real estate for residential of 27 and a half years and commercial 39 years. So that's a depreciation that we are allowed to take, and that is within the income approach. Now, what about the cost approach? The cost approach looks at what it is to actually build the property with today's materials, or with what it would be actually to produce that property right now, and how much it would be. So we use the market data approach to value the vacant land, the unimproved land, but then we use the three, remember, of either the quantity survey, unit in place, or square foot, cubic foot method, any of those three to actually get a valuation of the building, and we add it together. Well, when we're getting that valuation though of the building, we also have to take into consideration depreciation from an actual physical standpoint as well, for loss in value for the actual building due to either physical deterioration, functional obsolescence, or economic obsolescence. So there's two different perspectives of depreciation. One is the IRS paperwork loss that they let us take for income off of our what we're actually going to be taking home. And then there's another depreciation that's taken into consideration for actual, like on a physical level, for the characteristics of the building, and basically what how worn out it is, if it's something styling within the property lines, also what's surrounding it that's causing issues that might be of loss in value. So it's taking into consideration what kind of loss in value it has. So due to that, now we've talked about it, we know market data does not take into consideration accruals for depreciation, but the income and cost approach do. So then the best answer will be B, income and cost. Those appraisal approaches take accruals for depreciation into account. So important to keep that in mind. Two different perspectives, but they're all talking about depreciation here. 3, an agent was the listing agent, but also found and represented the buyer. How much of a commission would the agent be entitled to? A, nothing. B, the commission from both the buyer and seller with their written consent. C, one of the commissions. D, full commission from the seller and half commission from the buyer. Well, the agent is the listing agent, so has the listing. But as also with representing the seller, they find the buyer. And how much of a commission then would the agent be entitled to by representing a listing on the listing side as well as the selling side, so representing both the seller and the buyer? Well, this is now a dual agency, and due to this, the agent now would be able to get a full commission for representing the seller and as well as the buyer, as long as it has the written consent, because as you know, dual agency needs to be consented to. And so then the best answer is B, the commission from both the buyer and seller with their written consent. Because remember, as part of the listing agreements, usually you negotiate the compensation. And part of that will usually be saying, hey, the listing agent will be entitled to this amount. Now, if they find and represent the broker themselves or the buyer themselves, then they'll be entitled to this amount. So they'll be representing both parties. Well, they also have a thing in there that says, hey, now when I'm looking though for getting a cooperating agent to bring in a buyer, then that agent would be entitled to a certain commission for representing the buyer. But since this is a dual agency, is basically what they're saying, what kind of commission would they be entitled to from both for representing the buyer and the seller, as long as the dual agency has been consented to. 4, when accretion occurs, who will benefit most? A, the landowner. B, the local government entities. C, the water company. D, none of the above. So what is accretion? Well, accretion falls under accession. And remember, accession is a way of gaining title to land, and it's through either accretion or annexation. So accretion is by natural ways of gaining title, and then annexation is by man-made causes. So accretion, the best way of the example is like the gradual buildup of land within a waterway. So on a water course, there's the alluvium that would build up, so the soil that builds up and increases the amount of land that someone might own because of that increase in soil on their property. And due to that, who benefits most? Well, if you're adding land because of accretion, that landowner, that property owner, is going to be benefiting by the increase in the amount of land that they're owning. So the best answer will then be A, the landowner. Why, though, not the other options? Well, the local government entities, no, they don't benefit from this. It's the landowner, unless like maybe certain part of government entities that might own that actual land, but that's not really what they're talking about in general here. In general, they're talking about the landowner. Landowner could be a government entity, but that's not what they're saying. Water company, no, they're not the ones who will benefit most, because they're actually, there's more land actually being built up. And probably because of that, you would think just how it goes hand in hand, less water. But so the best option is A, the landowner. 5, a CLTA standard coverage policy of title insurance does not cover A, forgery, B, zoning laws, C, recorded items, D, improper delivery of a recorded deed. Well, remember about title insurance. We have CLTA as well as ALTA. CLTA is the California Land Title Association. It's the standard one, we say. So it covers a lot of just the basics when it comes to title insurance. Now, let's talk about what it does cover. Well, it covers all recorded items, forgery, incompetence, capacity, and improper delivery of a recorded deed. So let's break them down. So CLTA covers all items that have been recorded. It covers forgery. So forgery occurred somehow in the conveying of the title, for instance. Also incompetence. If the person, for instance, that was actually selling the property was declared incompetent in a court of law and did not actually have the ability to convey that property, then the title insurance would cover that. As well as if the seller, for instance, didn't even have the capacity to contract. They were under the age of 18 and for some reason it fell through the cracks. They didn't find out, or who knows why. Usually these things are found, but just in case, the capacity, as well as improper delivery of a recorded deed. And if it wasn't actually delivered properly and it was a recorded deed. So these are the basics, as you can tell, of what CLTA covers for title insurance. So going through that, what does it not cover? Well, it does cover forgery. It does cover recorded items, and it does recover improper delivery of a recorded deed. So let's verify about zoning laws. Zoning laws is something that is not covered under CLTA for the standard coverage policy in California. Zoning laws are not covered. So that is the correct answer, B. And let's talk about a little bit about why zoning laws are not covered. So it does not cover zoning laws because local government entities place the restrictions on what can be built on a specific parcel of real property. So that is just something that the local government entities do. They place the restrictions because remember, zoning goes hand in hand with police power, and it implements the general or master plan. And it just says what can actually be built on a specific parcel of real property, and doesn't have anything to really do with what title insurance will cover.
Thanks for watching. I hope this video was helpful in your licensing journey and your studies. If you liked it, make sure to give us a big thumbs up, as well as subscribe to our YouTube channel so we keep producing new content. But if you have any questions, or if you'd like to check us out for completing coursework to be eligible to take the state exam, or even for preparation to help you prepare for the state test, we have tons of options, and I have our website listed below. Otherwise, I'm Schyler with Accredited Real Estate Schools, and thanks for watching.